Coming up on Cronkite News, a new infrastructure bill could make this Arizona city more sustainable in the future.
Plus, some books will soon be banned from Arizona schools. We have the details on the restricted content and what's behind the ban.
And later, just 8 days after Robert Sarver's suspension, he has decided to sell the Suns and Mercury. We'll have more on his statement.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Maddie Freeze.
And I'm Ryan Tismaneski. Thank you for joining us.
It's known as BIL, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, and Tucson Mayor Regina Romero told a Senate committee today how funding from the law will transform her city into a sustainable, thriving desert city of the future. Cronkite News reporter Emily Miranda is on our Washington bureau with details on how the city plans to make that happen.
Like all cities in the Southwest, Tucson faces a water security challenge, but it's not just the dwindling water supply. Mayor Romero said one of the city's main water sources is tainted by high levels of the hazardous chemical PFAS.
PFAS, which in our closed basin system puts the entire water system at risk. We need to act now. The funding available in the BIL is critical to solving this need.
She says those federal funds will supplement the $15 million the city has spent on PFAS. The mayor said funding will also be used to improve railroad infrastructure, reduce crashes, improve emergency response time, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
We will improve the quality of life for Tucsonans who have lived with safety risks, heavy trucks in their neighborhoods, few options for non-motorized travel, and separation from other neighborhoods.
But Tucson will not be the only beneficiary of the infrastructure funding. Mayor Romero and Arizona State Senator Mark Kelly both pointed to planned widening of Interstate 10, saying it will improve supply chain issues.
It is a super important project, as it is for all Arizonans. In order for us to be able to have a good movement of goods and services from really the border, where we see a lot of goods coming through Tucson into I-10 into Phoenix.
Kelly agreed that the funding from the infrastructure law will not only help improve Arizona, but communities across the country.
Mayors, both Republicans and Democrats, are taking advantage of the once-in-a-generation opportunity here provided by our bipartisan infrastructure law to fix our aging infrastructure and build resilient communities for the future.
In Washington, Emily Miranda, Cronkite News.
Last month, the Environmental Protection Agency proposed listing PFAS as a hazardous material. The chemical is often used as a firefighting foam on military bases and airports. PFAS has been found in groundwater near Luke Air Force Base and Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson.
After September 24th, you won't be able to find certain books on school shelves because of a new law that passed in Arizona. Cronkite News reporter Olivia Doles tells us how this bill will affect classrooms in the future.
There are hundreds of books to choose from when you walk into a library, but soon teachers in Arizona may be limited on the books they can select for their classrooms, and education advocates are worried about the chilling effect on students and educators.
Because teachers will worry, am I allowed to even teach this book?
House Bill 2495 bans books in classrooms that refer students to sexually explicit material, specifically sexual conduct, sexual excitement, or ultimate sexual acts. With the vague language of the new law, teachers are still uncertain with what can and cannot be taught.
We're very concerned about the impact that this incredibly vague bill language would have on teachers and on students who are trying to access not just new materials that reflect their perspectives, but also materials that have been utilized in classrooms for a long time.
We reached out to Representative Jake Hoffman, who sponsored the bill, but he did not respond to our request for comment. However, he spoke during a hearing on the bill about its importance.
This bill is about protecting kids from sexually explicit material. We need them learning math, reading, writing, and other incredibly important educational materials that will help prepare them for a vibrant and prosperous future, not worrying about sexually explicit material.
But the ban has teachers worried about the consequences if they do assign a book that goes against the law.
I could face being fined, fired, or losing my certification.
And there's fear the ramifications may go beyond the bookshelves, forcing teachers out of the classroom.
Ultimately, what we need to do is trust our teachers and respect them for the professional experts that they are.
In Phoenix, Olivia Doles, Cronkite News.
The law goes into effect Saturday, but teachers we talked to say they will still find books that will keep students interested in reading.
A group of educators and public school advocates are trying to stop another law from going into effect this week. The law expands the private school voucher program. But as Cronkite News reporter Connor McGill explains, a group trying to get a petition to stop the law is working hard for last-minute signatures.
The voucher law would allow more students to apply for up to $6,500 in scholarships to attend private schools. Supporters say it gives students a choice in education, but others worry it's taking money from public schools. Save Our Schools in Arizona is working hard to get signatures for a petition to stop the voucher program. According to numbers from the Arizona Department of Education, close to 11,000 students have applied for the state's expanded empowerment scholarships. Of those, more than 8,000 have not attended public schools. This could add up to a loss of more than $53 million to state public schools, unless Save Our Schools Arizona gets enough signatures to stop the voucher expansion program at least until 2024.
These are the last couple of days of a statewide effort to stop Ducey's voucher expansion. So those are private school vouchers that would be siphoning public dollars directly out of our public schools, which are already funded 50th in the nation. So our volunteers are very passionate about this, and statewide we're fighting to put this law on hold and put it back to the voters so the voters get to have a say.
Save Our Schools Arizona will need more than 118,000 signatures. The last day to sign the petition is Friday. In the newsroom, Connor McGill, Cronkite News.
President Joe Biden is speaking out among tensions rising due to the Russia-Ukraine war. And the war is also having an effect on the U.S. economy. John Brown has more from our Washington, D.C. bureau.
President Biden delivered his speech earlier today at the United Nations. Biden did not hold back his disapproval for Vladimir Putin and his recent actions ramping up the war in Ukraine. This comes after Putin announced he was ordering Russian citizens in the reserve and with military experience to possibly fight. Putin also warned that he will use anything in his arsenal to protect Russian territory.
This world should see these outrageous acts for what they are. Putin claims he had to act because Russia was threatened. But no one threatened Russia. And no one other than Russia sought conflict. This war is about extinguishing Ukraine's right to exist as a state, plain and simple, and Ukraine's right to exist as a people. Whoever you are, wherever you live, whatever you believe, that should make your blood run cold.
Amid the escalating Russia-Ukraine war, the U.S. dollar rose to the highest value it's had since 2002. After Putin's announcement to call in the military reserve, the dollar hiked 0.4% this morning, putting it at the highest value in 20 years. The value change happens due to investors trusting the U.S. dollar more when there are international tensions. However, the war escalation also caused oil prices to increase 2.5%. Crews in D.C. are cleaning the Washington Monument after it was vandalized last night. Police say Sean Deaton, who was arrested on multiple charges, traveled from his home in Indiana to D.C., where he splashed the monument with red paint and wrote a vulgar message. You can see what's left of the paint on the monument's base, which will take weeks to clean up. That's the latest from Washington, D.C. I'm John Brown. Back to you.
New data suggests that more than 80% of pregnancy-related deaths in the U.S. are preventable. That's according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The report looked at pregnancy-related deaths in 36 states between 2017 to 2019. It found that most of the deaths were caused by mental health conditions, cardiac conditions, infections, and excessive bleeding. And many of them happened up to a year after pregnancy. The CDC is using this data to call on the public to become more aware of pregnancy-related complications and point out the need for healthcare workers.
Landscaping can use up a lot of water in our state, especially as we struggle with drought. After the break, we'll explain one effort Arizonans are making for water conservation.
Chances and full forecast coming up.
Ain't no time for imitation, ain't no time for playing. I'm just gonna do me.
You know what I'm saying?
Try to stay out of trouble.
Where's the fun in that? You know how ladies can be.
I'ma do what I do.
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience.
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
And develop your skills with the latest technology.
That way the flavors will marry nicely.
Can you tell me what I'm looking at?
I'm not looking for love, I'm looking for cookies.
And there's still places to discover.
It just absorbs you.
You can make this at home if you can't find it.
I will continue to eat and drink until you get here. Get here fast.
Cheers. Cheers.
Oh, look at that. Oh, doesn't that look good?
We are going to be eating well.
It does work. It does.
We got a happy little sky.
We're just getting started.
The Bureau of Reclamation recently announced that Arizona must cut back 21% of its Colorado River water use. Reporter Sydney Whitty has one way that homeowners can help.
Succulents, river rocks, and desert trees bring a landscape to life using Arizona desert plants. This Mesa home's front yard is xeriscaped, a minimal and low water use form of landscaping.
So xeriscape is essentially using nature's choice of landscape. So xeriscape involves choosing the right plants and preparing the ground, preparing the soil, watering it properly, and maintaining it properly.
The city of Mesa has a program designed to help homeowners conserve water and save money if they remove at least 500 square feet of grass and change it to xeriscape. Hundreds of residents have made the change.
A lot of the people that do this program in particular tell me they want to do it because, number one, they want to save water. Number two, they want less maintenance.
Xeriscape plants thrive in the valley's environment.
These plants love the heat. They love to be in this naturally.
Xeriscaping can cut homeowners' water use nearly in half.
1,000 square feet of xeriscape uses roughly 15,000 gallons of water annually.
1,000 square feet of overseeded grass uses about 35,000 gallons of water annually.
Warren Tenney, the executive director of the Arizona Municipal Water Users Association, says that they are continuously working with the valley on options for water conservation.
Make sure that your yard is being watered as efficiently as possible.
It's important that plants in your yard are desert adaptable.
Most plants don't need as much water as you think they might need, so it's better to be watering less frequently, but more deeply when you do. In other words, really let the ground soak and then don't worry about watering quite so long.
Tenney says more needs to be done to make a large difference in our state's water use, but xeriscape is one way valley homeowners can help. In Phoenix, Sydney Whitty, Cronkite News.
Mesa is not the only city incentivizing water conservation. Chandler has a similar program. In addition to removing grass, the city will pay you to plant more desert-friendly trees.
Hurricane Fiona has been upgraded to a Category 4 storm, destroying land in the Caribbean and Atlantic Ocean. Most of Puerto Rico's 3 million residents have been left without power or clean water. Take a look at some of these images. You can see high water levels and flooding across streets and homes in Puerto Rico. That water triggering mudslides in the area as well. At least 5 people have died from the hurricane. Officials say the island hasn't seen this much damage since Hurricane Maria 5 years ago. Right now, Fiona is moving north over Turks and Caicos and is expected to pass near Bermuda later this week. You may Slightly cooler temps in the state, but how long can we expect the relief? Evan Liss has your full forecast in the Cronkite News Weather Center.
Yeah, we're loving the cooler temperatures with the unsettled weather in the area today. We can thank in large part this down here. These are the remnants of what was Tropical Storm Madeline off the west coast of Baja California. And it's that tropical moisture is being pulled northwards by this low pressure system that's coming in off the coast of California. And that's increasing our storm chances, our cloud cover, and our humidity in Arizona today. Take a look at this humidity chart here. These are dew points. Anything 60 degrees or above is considered very humid for our state. And this dark green is not necessarily endemic, so to speak, to our area. It's very humid, 70 degrees in Gila Bend, 71 degrees in Casa Grande. Absolutely oppressive humidity. It's going to make our already warm temperatures feel even warmer. Taking a look at our storm impacts here, our thunderstorms are going to die down going into the rest of the evening. 2 a.m. it should be out of the state for the most part. Looking at tomorrow, we're going to have a different story. Not much cloud cover for the Phoenix Metro. However, we will have storm chances focused in the southern and northern parts of our state. That's not to say that we won't have a thunderstorm or shower or two migrate into the Phoenix Metro. But without those thunderstorm chances and cloud cover, we're going to see much warmer temperatures. We loved being just barely around the 90-degree mark today. We returned to around average, which is 99 for this time of the year. 96 degrees in Phoenix. Look at this, along the Colorado River Valley, near the triple-digit mark. We'd love to be up in Flagstaff, 68 degrees up there. So as I said, that low moves out tomorrow, and we start to see the hundreds come back, 103, 104 for Saturday and Sunday, and 100s with sunshine into the foreseeable future. For now, I'm Evan Liss in the Cronkite News Weather Center.
I'm Emily Bernstein. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. Phoenix Suns and Mercury owner Robert Sarver starts the process of selling the teams. Details of his latest statement coming up next.
Okay, let's go right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge?
You can do anything.
History is today. Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
A place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just gonna love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything.
There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
On Masterpiece Mystery.
Evil can find its roots so easily in an English village.
The landscape of criminal investigation. Murder, almost certainly.
Modern policing methods.
We endeavor to do our best.
We're working hard to solve this case.
And to make sure justice gets done.
It's a new adventure.
And the rest, as they say, is mystery.
I can hardly wait.
Art was one of the powers that made life life. I think we all believed that.
I'm gonna kick down every single door. I'm gonna show you what you never ever seen before. So control you, I'm gonna show you.
This is a real life story of a real live person.
This was my only connection to my culture.
Fight the power.
Our stories deserve to be heard.
You're passionate and you respect your heritage. That is a perfect recipe.
Now is the time for the Reformation. Now is the time to rebuild the nation.
That's amazing.
You're making me cry.
Some girls can go out there and just steal a spotlight.
This is the moment that we've all been waiting for.
Everyone has something to contribute to humanity. The arts are the thing that does that.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Welcome back to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Emily Bernstein. Robert Sarver released a statement this morning announcing he was beginning the process of selling both the Phoenix Suns and Mercury. Sarver begins his statement with words that I deeply regret. Then continues, I am beginning the process of seeking buyers for the Suns and Mercury. And notably states, I do not want to be a distraction to these two teams and fine people. The announcement comes days after Sarver was suspended for a year and fined $10 million by the NBA. Multiple people had called for his resignation, including the Suns' second largest stakeholder, John Najafi. The Diamondbacks radio broadcast made history yesterday. And her first call was pretty special.
First pitch swung on, deep fly ball to right field. Right fielder Gallo going back. He's looking up. It's a home run for Dalton Varsho. And just like that, the Diamondbacks take a 2-1 lead over the Dodgers in Game 1 of this doubleheader.
Jill Guerin is the first woman to call a Diamondbacks game in franchise history. Guerin has been the play-by-play voice of the Diamondbacks Single-A affiliate by Zalia Rawhide in California since 2019. She is one of just 3 female broadcasters in the minor leagues and the first in the history of the Rawhide organization. It's been a busy week for ASU football after the program parted ways with head coach Herm Edwards. Sean Aguano has already taken over as the interim coach and is making an effort to get the Sun Devils back on track for the Pac-12 play. Cronkite News reporter Chad Votherine was there for Aguano's first practice.
Well, now that new interim coach Sean Aguano is taking over the Sun Devils in the middle of the season, he's already hit the ground running in his first week of practice. And Aguano said he's not looking to completely transform the program, but he did suggest that there will be a few slight changes.
There is going to be subtle changes that I'll put a thumbprint on, and that might seem drastic to the kids there because they're such in tune to a routine, but I think those are subtle changes that need to happen.
So what exactly are these changes that Coach Aguano has in mind? Well, just after one day of practice under the former Chandler High School coach, players and coaches, they definitely noticed a difference in the speed and tone.
It was a lot of energy, and it was different practice. It was an upbeat practice where the players found themselves doing things they hadn't done in years.
We had some kids, that didn't like it as much, but Coach Aguano takes that. He says, I hear it. I mean, at the end of practice, we came together, and he mentioned that he could hear the bickering on the sideline. And he says, that's good,
And the practices have been faster and the intensity has increased, but it's all to prepare for their next slate of games against ranked conference opponents, starting with number 13 Utah at home. In Tempe, Chad Votherine, Cronkite News.
The Arizona Coyotes kicked off their preseason with day 1 of veteran training camp and media day. Cronkite News reporter Adam Schwager was in Scottsdale with more on what to expect this season.
As the Coyotes are set to step on the ice for the first time tomorrow, several members of the team took the podium today, including President and CEO Javier Gutierrez, General Manager Bill Armstrong, and Coach Andre Tourney. But with the players, the talk of the town was all about playing in Mullet Arena, the new 5,000-seat stadium that they're going to share with ASU hockey.
Atmosphere, I think it'll be unlike any other arena, so personal. From a fan's perspective, like every seat in that house is going to be unreal. And
I think it's good because they'll be able to see how fast the game truly is. If you talk to fans that sit down at the glass seats, that's usually what they kind of tell you is they don't realize how fast it is. So to have all these seats in the lower bowl, you'll kind of pick up on like how quick we have to make decisions and the little things like that.
The Coyotes and their fans will have to wait quite some time as they start on the road with 6 straight games to open the season. They'll make their debut at the Mullet Arena on October 28th against the Winnipeg Jets. For Cronkite Sports, in Scottsdale, Adam Schwager.
That's it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Maddie.
Coming up, the United States and Russia recently came together for a space launch, and the crew just made it to their destination. Find out where they went and what they'll be doing while in outer space.
It's prime time on your time. Watch Prime Afternoons every weekday on Arizona PBS. Did you miss a show in the evening? Then catch up on Prime Afternoons, your favorite dramas.
No more bloody heroics.
Antiques Roadshow.
Really?
Nature and Nova.
It's time to reintroduce some wonder into this miracle of nature.
All of the best from PBS on Prime Afternoons. Weekdays starting at 1:30, only on Arizona PBS. When you support Arizona PBS, you plant a seed. Seeds that provide educational outreach in our community. Seeds that put our digital resources to work. Seeds that foster the trusted news coverage you expect from PBS. And seeds that continue the amazing PBS programs you love. But our garden can't keep growing without your support. Visit our website to see all the ways you can help our garden grow. Plant a seed with Arizona PBS today.
Tensions are high between the U.S. and Russia as the war in Ukraine continues. But that's not stopping American and Russian space explorers from working together. A NASA astronaut and 2 Russian cosmonauts arrived at the International Space Station together today. They traveled there in a Russian capsule that took off from Kazakhstan. The group is expected to stay there for 6 months as they continue the space-based experiments that have been happening on the space station for more than 2 decades.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.